this is probably the most positive update we've ever seen. So I'm ecstatic about that. Guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Big update this week. The Season 3 Warzone update. I say Warzone, Modern Warfare 2 as well. So we're just going to jump straight into it. If you find this video helpful, remember to like, subscribe, share it with a friend, and it helps us out. Myself and Mortem over that way. Let's go. So first off, we have explosive rounds. This is the update that everyone's been waiting for. The one-shot sniper update. So it says bolt action weapons equipped with explosive ammunition are now able to down a fully armored player in one shot Warzone 2 only. So this is like exactly what I was basically hoping for. So by saying bolt action means your Signal 50 does not count, because the Signal 50 is not a bolt action rifle. Because if they done it to all snipers, the Signal 50 became ridiculously broken at that point.
Yeah, it's like automatically the best because
the fire rate is mad. So yeah, by making that bolt action rifles, I think that's massive. In other big news that everyone's been looking forward to is the anti-cheat. So they have updated the anti-cheat. In their blog, it just says about going back to the one they announced a week or two ago, where they describe what coming in this anti-cheat section, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is Cronus detection, as well as like strike packs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then things to deter or to stop them mid-game is invisibility for every other player, so they can't see anybody to shoot at. Then they'll take their weapons out of their hands, so they have to stand there with fists and just die basically. And then the other thing they can do is basically put a shield around you to absorb any damage that comes in, so they can't kill you. But we're always glad to see a update to the system. And I suppose let's get into weapons, really. That's what we need to know about. What is the absolute meta for Season 3? So the ISO Hemlock, which is the current meta in Warzone, the ISO Hemlock has had all damage ranges reduced and lower torso damage reduced. I don't think that matters.
No, I don't think this shakes up the meta at all.
No, not at all. They've reduced ranges, so they don't say by how much, but normally when they reduce ranges, it's by a couple of meters. It's not by a huge amounts. So if your mid-range damage was at 43 meters, that might now be 41 meters. That doesn't change how fast you're killing people. Like, and those 2 meters aren't really going to matter very often. And then lower torso damage. Who's shooting shins? Like, I can't kill someone as quick in the toes anymore.
It was, especially with like the ISO Hemlock, that gun is like way too easy to just beam upper chest and heads.
Yeah.
So the chances of you shooting someone in like the groin or the stomach is so incredibly pointless and low that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Think it's still hard meta.
Overall buffs to SMGs, we have the hipfire accuracy is being increased for all SMGs, which it was a bit wild, but again, that could be 1%, it could be 50% increased. Until we do a bit of testing, we're not going to know. But the SMGs overall, the Lachmann Sub got, what did it get? They've increased the burst fire damage, and then they decreased the headshot damage. Unless that burst fire damage has been increased by astronomical amounts, again, for me, that's still the SMG meta there. I can't see that changing.
Yeah, I think the Lachmann did a tiny bit too much damage to the head, so I think that change is fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, then the rest of the changes are all burst fire, and 2 of them are leg and torso.
Yep.
I mean, torso is fine, but like again, legs. Like, why are we shooting legs? Like,
yeah. they've got a big thing about it in this particular lot of patch notes, and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But then the Vaznev and the VEL 46 both got headshot damage decreases. Again, I think they probably needed it. If you hit headshots with those, consider like 2-3 headshots, you were just deleting them. So it does make a bit more balance to the weapon. And remember that does apply in MW2 and ranked, that multiplier change, that damage change to the head, that does count in that as well. And then LMGs, the RAAL has a headshot damage reduction, as well as then changing all the semi-auto for it. And again, unless they've broken something when doing that, I've never seen anybody using the semi-auto firearm. Have you?
I can think of like a couple of times that I did it trying to shoot someone in the air that was like 200 meters that way. But no, like who is picking up a RAAL to use semi-auto? You use it because you want to lay down a lot of bullets. So,
Yeah.
I get it. Like they're trying to make these alternate fire options useful, which is not a bad thing, but it's just
overall very limited use. And then
yeah.
The RPK had a close to mid damage slightly reduced. But again, you're not using the RPK at close to mid range. Like, it's fair. In that range, sometimes you would lose out to an RPK when you thought you had a better weapon. So I get the point of it. But after everything they've done, the RPK is still a top tier gun. Like, if you like using the RPK, it's made no change to you whatsoever. So keep going with it. And then we have battle rifles. So we're not going to run through all the battle rifles. We'll pop them up on the screen here in a second, and then just take a screen grab or hit pause and take a look at them if that's your choice. The only interesting one for me is the TAC V. Minimum armor damage increased, movement speed increased, semi-auto, lower leg damage increased. The TAC V is what a lot of people do like to use out of all of them. Again, lower leg damage, I don't get it, but they seem to be a bit obsessed with it at the moment. But onto more pressing matters, which is magazine buffs, which I think is actually quite interesting for this update. I think it's quite good as well. So we've got the LMGs. So all LMGs, the handling and movement penalties are being reduced on larger mags, which you don't see too many people using, really, the larger mags on those, because they're already pretty big.
Yeah.
But again, if you're one of those guys who just want to whack the 150 round drum on and just absolutely let loose, you're having a better day today. And then you've got the Kastov 762 and the Lachmann Sub, both having their larger mags, handling penalty reduced, which means you're going to have slightly better mobility on those, which, again, on the Lachmann Sub, I think was needed. It's a submachine gun. You want to feel agile, like you can move around a bit when there's multiple people. But at the moment, you can't do that. So I see that as a positive. Same as the Vaznev and the VEL, both having the same treatment there as well. But I think we both agree that the SMGs needed to be more mobile, right?
Yeah, because I think in Warzone, if you play anything more than solos, like you play duos and up, and you need to run those bigger mags, especially on like the Vaznev and the Lachmann Sub.
Yep.
I see a lot of people running the 40 round mag on the Lachmann, not because they want to, but I think because the downsides of using the 50 round drum are a bit too high. But now hopefully this will level that out.
And then your smaller mags are getting improvements to movement speed increase and sprint to fire speed increase. So again, that's a buff all round there. And then we are going to jump over to your grenades. So jumping over to grenades, which I think is, again, I think they've hit the nail on the head here, really. So going through them quickly, gas grenades no longer detonate enemy explosives. This was happening fairly often. Obviously not intentionally, so they've fixed that now. Claymores, armor damage reduced. Flash grenades, flash effective duration reduced. Frag grenades, one hit kill radius against armor plates reduced. Proximity mines, armor damage reduced, and armor damage reduced against crouched or prone players. And Semtex now kills downed players when stuck. So let's quickly just run through those. All positives for me. Let's start with that Semtex. It should be like that anyway. I didn't even stuck a grenade to your chest. A needle will not save you. So, like, yeah, why that was a thing anyway, I don't know, but I'm glad they fixed it. Prox mines on every other game, at least every other game we can remember, crouched or prone, especially prone, you didn't take damage from prox mine.
Yeah, back in like all the World War II era games.
Yeah.
bouncing bees, you went especially prone.
Yep.
You took 0 damage. That was the outplay. It was like, okay, you get this mine, but I can outplay it by doing a quick drop shot or something. Yeah, it should do like 0 damage, never mind reduced damage, but we'll take it.
Yeah, it's definitely a buff for that. Frag grenades 1-hit kill radius against fully armored players reduced. That is good. There was a couple of times you could be a fair few meters away from it and it'd still put you down. So I'm glad to see that. Flash effective duration reduced. Whether that's by 0.2 seconds or whether that's by a whole second is going to make a massive difference. And they've not specified.
Please be a whole second.
Yeah.
Please.
I would agree with you there. Especially, again, this is mainly about Warzone here, right? But this is not Warzone 2 only. This applies to everywhere. And when you're playing multiplayer, sometimes you get absolutely flash spammed. So I'm glad to see it. I just hope it's for a good duration of time that they've reduced it for. And then Claymore's armor damage reduction, they were hitting pretty hard. So I think that's all around good there. And then onto some actual more positive points. I think this is probably the most positive update we've ever seen. So I'm ecstatic about that. But onto more positive points. The new sniper rifle. It is basically the intervention, which means it is a bolt action rifle, which means you will be able to one-shot with it with explosive rounds in the new update. So I think that'll be nice. I'm always happy for new snipers because they're actually usable now. Something I'm not sure why it wasn't before, but Bomb Squad. Explosive damage mitigation now also applies to armor. I thought that was always the case. Apparently that wasn't the case, and it now does, which we're happy to see. And damage feedback, visual feedback adjusted to increase visibility when taking damage. Again, it's a buff. These are all just helpful things to make the game smoother, which is exactly what it needed. And then diving and firing and sliding. So diving and firing delay reduced, so you can fire sooner after diving. And then sliding speeds have been slightly increased. It says slightly, so whether you're going to move at another 0.5 meters per second, or whether you're going to absolutely like Warzone 1 stim slide at people, we're not sure. But I'm happy to see it. Again, it's faster movement, and that's what we've been asking for this whole time. They're listening and actually giving us what we want. So we definitely can't complain. And speaking of giving us what we want, bomb drones can no longer down fully armored players.
Thank God for that.
Do they serve a purpose anymore, really? If they can't down someone, by the time you get to them, they're going to plate up again. So maybe in solos they might have a place then, because if they don't have self and they don't have full plates in, then maybe you're getting a kill there. And then you've got your cluster mine armor damage reduction. Good. They were too strong. What? I'm not a fan of them, I've got to say, because
I think
you can just dash them in the bottom of a building, right, and then just leave, and you're guaranteed a kill. And then we have the tempered, which isn't a perk anymore. It is a lootable plate storage, like your loot vests. So then you'll now find them in either strongholds or in looting, which I will assume they're only going to be in orange boxes. They haven't specified, but they're supposed to be fairly rare. So I would assume that you'll only find them in orange boxes. But so if you've not had tempered before, it is 2 plates instead of 3 to give you the same total armor value, which means quicker plating and quicker recovery into fights as well. So I like tempered, so I'm glad to see that's there. And then you've got UAV towers are back. That's a new thing for this season. They've said first seen in DMZ. They don't want to say first seen in Warzone 1 because that seems like they're giving in. So they say first seen in DMZ. So if you use them in DMZ or you use them in Warzone 1, they work the exact same way basically. But again, considering we've still only a one UAV per buy, right? That's not been changed at all. So
no.
we're still at 1 UAV per buy. So having these at least is a little bit more information that you can pick up along the way. And then redeploy drones are being added as well. So redeploy drones in Mazrah, they've been in Resurgence for a little while now. I think they were just sort of testing them out, but I'm glad to see they're in Mazrah now. So you can shoot them down the same as the old redeploy balloons that you used to have in Warzone 1. They'll reposition themselves in the gas. They'll just up anchor and then they'll just fly into their new position and then drop back in, which I think is quite nice. It keeps the movement of the game very smooth throughout all phases. And then beginning of round 4, they will leave, which I think the map's small enough by that point that you don't need them. So I think huge positive change. And the last one, which I'm actually really pleased about, is Resurgence on Mazrah. Because if you're looking to get better at the game, say if you are a average to below average player, which in this game is generally considered a 1 to sub 1 KD, you drop in the game, you die, you're not very good in the gulag, and then you're out. At least you can work on your gunfights by coming back.
I think more game modes and more options, and again, this obviously it's a different mode, but it should make Mazrah feel a bit faster. And then when you add in the addition of the redeploy drones and other stuff like that, I think it just generally makes the game feel faster. I think it's cool.
I agree, 100% agree. I think overall, this update has been a huge W for Warzone as a whole and Call of Duty as a whole. Remember, guys, these are just the highlights, the sort of need to know bits from the update. We'll have the Call of Duty blog update link down below, so you can go check that out if you want to read through all of like the UI fixes, the bug fixes, all that sort of stuff. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Come back again, like, subscribe, share it with a friend, and we'll catch you next time.